Hi there, I'm Mike, and what I have for you today is Star Wars The Black Series Kenner Colored Jawa. And I know that is what's in here is because they both got shipped to me at the same time, and I've already done the Obi-Wan Kenobi. So in here, by deduction, is the Jawa. So I'm gonna go ahead and open it up, but I wanted to keep it in here just to show you that this is how Amazon shipped it to me. The little shipper boxes, and I thought that was kind of neat. So I wanted to show it off so you can see how I got mine. There we go. So this right here, if you're not quite familiar with how this works, this is the Kenner colored Jawa. Back in the late 70s, early 80s, they didn't really care. Hasbro, Kenner, any of the toy companies back in the day, they didn't care about making things screen accurate. From movies, cartoons, nothing was ever a one-for-one. Either they were working off, production stills and concept art, or they just didn't care. Whatever the reason was, what we had in hand was never what we got on screen. And a lot of that is something I never noticed as a kid. But a fun thing about this, you'll notice the Obi-Wan Kenobi back there. He has a vinyl cape. A lot of toys, a lot of characters in the original Star Wars line that had capes were vinyl early on. Some of them had cloth ones, but a lot of the early ones were vinyl. The Jawa here originally actually came with the vinyl cape, just like Obi-Wan did, but they switched them out early to a cloth one like this. And the vinyl cape Jawas are, I think, one of the most valuable Star Wars figures you can own, especially if it's legit, that actually came out. Obviously, like a rocket firing Boba Fett, because that never made it out of the production phase. The vinyl cape Jawa was available, but it was only available for a very, very short time. And back in the day, back in the late 70s, early 80s, we didn't think to keep stuff like this because we didn't think anyone would care 40, 50 years later. So keeping a toy in packaging, saving it for posterity wasn't anything that anyone was even considering. So that's why a lot of these older toys are a lot more valuable, especially in the package, because there's so few of them. A lot of people treat these like investments. I'm not saying there aren't expensive ones. For instance, this Boba Fett back here, if you have one in a box, because of the rarity of this goes for like, $300 or so. But that's the upper range for like a newer figure versus an older one like this, which goes for like $20,000. So there's definitely a difference, but I don't know. I don't know why I'm getting into a long, very long tangent about collecting figures and the history behind that, or my thoughts on it. But let's go ahead and open this up, because I am an opener. I don't save anything in the box. You can see I opened my Kenner Boba Fett over there because that's just the kind of guy I am. There wasn't a world that existed where I would have saved that. I do like to just open these up from the bottom because I like to save the packaging a little bit, mostly just for my my checklist videos that I do at the beginning of each new year. That's pretty much it. Oh, I'm not worried about preserving it super good, but I don't want to just rip it open, I guess. So we're gonna get the Jawa off here. So if you want to get my full thoughts on this Jawa, I've done a full review for it. Thought out, score, articulation, all of that stuff. That exists. So if you want to go watch that, you can. This is just going to be kind of more of a comparison. What I am going to do is just kind of, see if I can slide this in here, because one of my least favorite things about this figure is that they attach the stupid gun on the stupid cable. So you either holster it, put it in his hand, or it's just kind of hanging out. And I don't like that. The holster for this was so stiff to get that in there. I don't think it's ever coming out, and I honestly am okay with it. But let's take a look at the Jawa here. So these are more or less the colors the original Jawa came in. I don't have the original Jawa. I don't collect the kind of vintage figures here, but it's kind of weird how we have a hood under a hood. And I'm pretty sure underneath here, yeah, we have a robe over a robe. What this is essentially just the original Jawa figure that came out. I think this came out in 2017. They've essentially just recolored to match what we got the toy of. That's the kind of the color the toy was. and then covered in this cloth cape robe. I guess it's a robe thing. But everything else is the same molding, the same weapons, all that stuff is the same. He doesn't come with this gun that this one came with, and that kind of sucks a little bit. Now there's another figure that came out in the Mandalorian kind of line. This is the off-world Jawa. You can see he's kind of got the same robe for the most part, but he doesn't have the under robe. Like if you take this robe off, he's just kind of a naked dude. I think it's a Maz Kanata under there, it feels like, but maybe not. I don't know. But whereas this is like, he's got robe and more robe, and then underneath there, he's got the original. So very interesting choice that Hasbro made here, I guess. The eyes definitely pop a lot more. This feels like it should have like a, it doesn't, but it feels like it should have light piping coming through there, but they're just kind of glass beady eyes on this one. Yeah, that one's the same. It's kind of, it's like the same material, but painted. I think, yeah, that's the same too. So the eyes are, at least to me, very similar, but the robe's definitely very different. So that's interesting. I think I own 4 of these now. I've got 2 of the regulars, the off-world one, and then this one now. What I wanted to do, I don't know, Jawas are just things that you can kind of buy a lot of, you know what I mean? Jawas are a weird thing to troop build, but they're definitely troop buildable. There were a lot of them in both The New Hope and The Mandalorian. I do feel like Jawas are, it's tough, man. They cost the same as every other Star Wars figure. This is $25, the same as that Obi-Wan, and $5 more than both those Jawas. And it feels so weird to pay that much for such a dinky little guy. At the very least, they should charge $10 more and include 2 of these. Or package it with a droid. You know, Jawas and droids, they go together. So it would make sense to have kind of a Jawa and like a little droid or an R2. Again, you can charge more for it. I'd be down. I'd pay $30, $35. I don't think I'd pay more than $35. Well, I would, because I'm a sucker. But I think an appropriate price would be like $30 for a Jawa and a droid. But they don't. They know that we'll buy these and we're suckers for them. This is what it is. That's the Kenner colored Jawa. I kind of wanted to put it next to the other Kenner colored figures. So we've got, well, it's 4 LOM, but he's Zuckuss on the packaging because it's Kenner colored. Then we've got Zuckuss, but 4 LOM because again, that was what was on the packaging because Kenner messed that up back in the 80s. And then we have the Boba Fett. So, and then obviously we have the Obi-Wan Kenobi. I did switch out this Obi-Wan Kenobi. If you haven't watched my last video on it, I switched out the Obi-Wan Kenobi face. That's the original one that came out in 2016. This is the face that came on this one. I liked it better, so I swapped it out. Right now, these are all of the Kenner colored figures. I love this line. It's a fun little subline. There's one more that we're missing that I bought. I'm just waiting for it to kind of ship out. These weren't supposed to be out until May. They were Amazon exclusive. Like I said earlier, they're $25. These 2, for whatever reason, shipped out early, and then the Greedo got pushed back. And Greedo is the one that I was kind of looking forward to the most because I feel like they did a really good job of painting him like the original Kenner color figure. But I'll get into that when we get that. And I'll do videos like this when I get that as well, kind of comparing them. If I were to give this a score, I'm going to give the looks a 0.775 because I think the robe over a robe thing is kind of weird. Like they could have just done the off-world Jawa and recolored these. I don't know why they didn't. For accessories, I mean, he doesn't come with anything. The gun he comes with is attached to his belt, so it's not really an accessory because you can't remove it. And he doesn't come with the other blaster they're supposed to come with, and that's it. So I'm going to give that a 0.25? I don't know. Do I even give it a 0? Do I give it a 0 for not coming with any accessories? I feel like that's more appropriate. His articulation, it's not great, but he's so small, it's really hard. Like, you're not going to be putting Jawas in dynamic poses anyway. I'm going to give it a half point. No, I'm going to give it a 0.75 just because I wasn't expecting much, and it kind of delivered on that, but it's also not great. The paint sculpt and detail, I mean, the only thing you can see, because this is underneath the bandolier here and it's not removable. This cloak is not removable unless you take the whole figure apart. It's not designed to do that. So I'm gonna give it, like, I'm sure it's got it underneath there, but you can't tell. I'm gonna give that a 0.25, I guess. And then the want and availability. I mean, the want's there because I want this whole line. I like this niche. This is right up my alley of getting these silly, stupid repaints in. So I like that. But the Jawa is probably not one of the ones I really wanted them to do in the first place. There are other figures they could do instead, but they chose Jawa just because probably it's cheap. So I don't know. But the other problem is the availability. It's Amazon exclusive and he's $25. I mean, $20 is already a lot for a figure this size that comes with almost nothing. But putting another $5 on top of that price because it's an exclusive, that sucks. I'm going to give that a 0.25. This might be the lowest score I've ever given a figure. And I don't know if that's just because I'm coming off the high of loving this to the stupid Jawa. I'm going to give it a 1.75. It's just not good. I mean, I feel like I'm going to raise it to a 2. I'm going to give it a 2. Whatever my category is, if you watch any of my videos, you know how my categories work. And if you don't watch any of my videos, go watch some of my other reviews. They're a lot more structured than this. These Talking Hands reviews are quick and dirty, so I don't have to do a lot of editing and I don't have to do a lot of photography and stuff like that. And I can just kind of get the video out real quick. This is not a good figure. I want it for the collection, but I'm buying it more on an obligation that I have to own it rather than the fact that I really want it, if that makes sense. If you were like, hey, Mike, can I skip any figures? If you've got one Jawa in your collection and, you know, you only want the one Jawa, then yes, you can absolutely skip this for sure, 100%. So yeah, that's it for my Kenner Colored Jawa review. Let me know down in the comments what you thought of it. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? Do you love this figure? Are you passing on it? Are you getting it now because I somehow convinced you to buy it while talking crap on it? I love to read and respond to all the comments. I'd also like to take a moment and thank the people on screen here for supporting me on Patreon at a Star Wars The Black Series level or higher. Thanks so much. It means a lot to me that you guys do that. If you want to get your name on screen here, you can head over to my Patreon. If that's not your thing, down in the downstairs area are a couple different ways that you can support the channel, up to and including liking, sharing, subscribing, and hitting the bell for more notifications. And with that, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for getting this far, and I'll see you later. Bye.